Hi everyone, welcome to this JavaScript tutorial. Today we're going to introduce how to create and use functions in JavaScript. And the example that we're going to look at today is how to create this little situation here. We've got a big, you could imagine this is a big div here with an image in it, and then we've got another set of, I'm going to call them divs. This is a div, this is a div, this is a div, and this is a div with 4 small images, and every time we click one of those divs, the main image changes. And the magic that allows this to happen is JavaScript. Very quickly, I'm going to explain to you my project setup. I have my project folder, and I'm working on my character click file today. I have an images folder, and inside my images folder I have my 4 big images. If I go into properties and look at the details, I can see that the size of these images, and I promise you each one is 400 by 400 pixels. I also have a subfolder called thumbnails where I've got some little thumbnails of those images. I created these in Photoshop, and again if I go to properties and look at the size, these are just smaller images, 100 by 100 pixels, just thumbnails, okay? So this project does involve 8 different images, okay? Alright, let's go and look at my project file that I've got going at the moment. I'll explain it briefly to you. If it doesn't make sense, you're probably not ready to start JavaScript. You're still working on HTML and CSS. I've got a style section up here. Well, let's forget about that. Let's come straight into the body. I've set up a main container div to hold everything. I've then created a div with an ID of character container, and this is where the big images are going to be displayed. And the first image that I'm going to display when my web page loads is Chopper. Okay, so if we look at this again, let's just refresh the page. The first image that's displayed is Chopper. Then I've got another div outside of the character container. I've got another div here which holds 4 individual divs, and each div holds a thumbnail. Okay? And if we look at the page, here they are. These are my 4 thumbnails. They're all in a row, and I styled my thumbnails by, let's just, that's interesting. Let's just run this in Chrome. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I haven't actually styled these thumbnails yet, so I want them to be kind of floating next to each other in a row. So let's just do that now. Any images inside the thumbnails ID div, I want to float. So if you are inside the thumbnails ID area and you are an image, I would like you to float left. So let's save that, refresh the page, and hopefully everything will be okay. Brilliant. But when I click on these images, at the moment, nothing happens. So let's look at some magical JavaScript. What I would like to do is, by the way, can I also say that the ID of each of these images is the same as the name of the JPEG file. Okay? And we'll look at why I've chosen that strategy later. Okay? Anyway, inside the image tag here, I'm going to include a new attribute, which is the onClick attribute, and it will be equal to something. Okay? Now what I want to happen when I click the image, I want to call a function, and that function that I want to call is the clickMe function. So this is going to be on the Chopper image. OnClick equals clickMe. Let's save that and refresh my web page. And let's click Chopper. Nothing happens. The reason that nothing happens is because I haven't designed the clickMe function yet. Okay? So let's go into my script tags here, and I'm going to start designing the clickMe function. And this is how to do it in JavaScript. We start with the word function. We then type the name of the function, and we follow that with round brackets. The round brackets have several uses, but basically they tell the browser, I am a function. I am not a variable. Okay, so the round brackets are important. And then we have curly brackets, which say all of the code inside these curly brackets relate to this function. So the curly brackets tell us when to start and when to stop. And all I'm going to do at the moment, when we call this function, I'm just going to have an alert which is hi. Okay? So let's go back into the body of the web page. Here we have an image. When we click the image, we are going to call this function. And in the function design, all that happens is an alert will come up with hi. So let's save that and refresh our page and try it. Bing! So when I click the image, I call that clickMe function and this alert comes up. So let's copy that and we're going to paste it into each of our image tags. And we'll save that and refresh our page. And let's just try it. Hi. 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 Now it's a shame that each of the characters is giving us the same message. Wouldn't it be great if each character had a different message? For example, when we click chopper, we call this function, but we also send like an individual message. So chopper says hello, penguin says bye, Angry Bird says whatever, and Red Riding Hood says, she's so cute, will you marry me? She's feeling a bit lonely maybe. Brilliant. Okay, so when we click any of these images, we call the clickMe function and we pass the clickMe function some data. So let's save that and see if it works. Nope, nothing's working. So we have a problem. Actually, I just saw something really weird. Do you see this here? When I call the clickMe function, this double quotation mark is purple and this double quotation mark is black. There's something wrong, definitely. Another thing is, when I call the clickMe function, I'm passing it some data, but the clickMe function isn't expecting any data. So let's fix that first. The clickMe function is expecting some kind of message. So I'm going to create a variable. This is a variable called message. And this variable will handle any data that's coming from the web page. When we call the function, we pass this clickMe function a message. All of these messages are different, but the clickMe function will process any message. So let's alert message. Okay? Now this isn't going to work because we still have this purple-black problem, and I think I know what the issue is. I'm going to change those double quotation marks on click equals. I'm going to change those to single quotation marks. Now I'm not going to explain why I think that's the problem, but as we get used to working with JavaScript, this will become a bit clearer. Let's just zoom out and we'll finish that one. So let's have a look at this. We have an image. When we click it, we're going to call a function and we're going to pass that function some data. That function takes the data into a variable. It magically says, okay, thanks for the data, I'm going to store that in my own variable and then I'm going to start using it. So let's save and refresh and run. Hello. Bye. Whatever. will you marry me? Okay? So if you're not sure about any of this that I've been talking about so far, get into a project area, open up Notepad++, save some images and see if you can get this far. If you're happy with what you're seeing, let's continue. Wouldn't it be great, instead of passing hello, we pass the ID of the image. So when I click this image, I'm going to pass this ID, which is Chopper. So when I click the image, I'm going to pass the ID of this image to the clickMe function. And let's do that for each of the images. Okay? And in my function design here, this .id will be stored in a variable called message, and then we can play with the message. So let's save that and refresh. Chopper, Penguin, Angry Bird, Red Riding Hood. Brilliant. So we've got that far. Now, wouldn't it be great if I could use that information to change the character container's image, which has an ID of character, and we need to mess around with the src attribute. So let's see if we can do that. Let's just comment that out for a minute. I'm going to create a new variable called path, which is equal to files. No, it's not files, is it? It's images slash then I'm going to concatenate this variable, and then I'm going to finish that with .jpg. So if this is Chopper, the path will be images slash chopper.jpg. If this is Angry Bird, the path will be images concatenated with the variable which holds Angry Bird concatenated with .jpg. And then, this is the magic, document.getElement by ID. Well, we're going to target the character container, the big character container, and we're going to target the src attribute of that, and we're going to assign it a new value which will be path, which we've set up here. Okay? Now let's see if this works. Is this going to work? Magic. So have a look at what you have seen in this video. It's quite a long video, there's a lot of information, but see if you can set up this situation for yourself, and let's create a clickable image gallery using JavaScript.